Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm Derrick Lemaster.
This is Scream Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and we take multiple takes to do the intro. How are you guys doing this week? Wonderful evening.
Doing good. I'm kind of nervous because I start my new job tomorrow. So I got the anxiety for sure. How are you guys doing?
Good. You're going to do great. I'm doing fabulous. Great night tonight. Doing awesome. How about you, Derrick?
I'm okay. I wish the weekend was 3 days long instead of just 2, but
yeah. Well, you know what? In a
We
couple
live in
weeks,
America.
next week, well, 2 weeks, I guess it will be, right? I mean, we have a holiday coming up, so we'll have a 3-day weekend.
Oh, yeah. Going to the zoo.
Oh, are you?
That weekend, yeah.
Nice. I think we're celebrating Zachary's birthday. So, happy birthday, Zachary! In a couple weeks.
Well,
Actually, his birthday is technically this week. The 26th would be his birthday. So this is your birthday episode to my brother Zachary. Good work, man, on being old, I guess. On surviving the game, as they say.
Yeah.
So if you guys hear a noise, there is an infestation of crickets over at the Lemaster house, apparently.
It does seem to be a drawback of doing this in the basement. So, so close to nature, just being a thick wall of concrete away. So
that's why we got to get those, foam up. We got to get the foam up. So
yeah, I kind of like it. It's like a nice ambiance.
Yeah.
It is. It kind of makes me want to fall asleep though, which is not what I want to do during the podcast. I mean, Derrick does it, but it's not. I don't want to steal his. I don't want to steal his shtick.
Hey, I haven't done that in quite a long time.
You're true. That's true. You're right. You haven't done it in a while. It's been a while. Now, if you could only stop muting yourself, we'd be.
I make no promises there. Although I did not bring my mouse with me to the session, so
oh, good.
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a lot of cuts during this episode. Is what's gonna have to happen.
What are you talking
about? That's the secret of Scream Bloody Movies editing, by the way. It takes so long to cut out all of Derrick and I's throat clears. So.
In all seriousness, that very first episode was like the worst.
Oh, it was
every 2 minutes.
It really was. Every time I went to speak, I'd be like, and then you were constantly going, and it just was a tick that we had that we didn't realize that we did. So we've been very cognizant of it since. But
after like the third or fourth one, I'm like, oh my god!
Yeah.
Why did you do that there?
You edited the first episode, I do believe.
Yeah, it was rough.
Because I listened through the uncut version and I said that. I was like, man, we clear our throats way too much. And you're like, yeah, I've been trying to get them, man. There's just too much. Took me 3 days.
We need to start pre-treating with some cough drops or something.
Yeah.
I'm just naturally a phlegmy person.
You remember, he's a phlegmy fella.
Yeah, I'm a phlegmy fella.
I remember.
But
episode 1.
The worst ones. Yeah, the worst ones are when somebody else is talking and you do it, because then there's no chance.
I know. That's when it's the hardest. Yeah, because if I start to do it when I start to talk, I could just drop the audio out. Everything's good. But if not, it's just like Derrick will be making a succinct point, or I'll be making a succinct point, and it's just like in the middle of it. It's like, so on Orphan, my favorite scene, what I really like is the mise en scène. And then you just have to deal with it. It just has to live in there.
Yep. In infamy.
Some inside baseball for you guys.
Crickets.
It's going to be crickets, but you know what? We can't cut those guys out. It just is what it is.
Derrick, you're going to have to get an exterminator, I think.
Maybe. There's another side that doesn't have a window, but
or just get some frogs or something,
By the way,
counteract.
Did you just hear those and see him hopping around in the background?
But there'll be no crickets. So, get a salamander.
Oh my gosh. So guys, now that we wasted 5 minutes of pure nonsense, let's start this episode proper like we do every week and get into the horror news. There was not a ton, but I did find a couple of hidden gems, let's say. So first, let's start with this. Lucky McKee is a horror filmmaker. He has a new movie coming out called Old Man that is starring Stephen Lang, and it's going to be released this Halloween season. I don't know if we have much of a synopsis for it yet. Oh, here it is. The film unfolds as a lost hiker stumbles upon an eccentric old man living in the woods. That chance encounter triggers an unimaginable nightmare. Now, you guys know Stephen Lang as the blind man in Get Out, or in Don't Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And plenty other things. What are you guys' thoughts on a new horror movie starring Stephen Lang? And what did you guys think of Get Out? I've not seen the sequel yet.
You mean...
we'll review it. We'll review it.
Was it Get Out?
Not Get Out. Why do I keep saying that? Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe.
Yes.
So
I haven't seen either one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you seen Don't Breathe, Lydia?
Yes, I have, but I vaguely remember it. Like, I think I watched it super late at night. So
I went to the
foggy.
movies and saw it. I think Sarah and I went to the movies to see it. I have some thoughts on it. It's all right. But Stephen Lang is a great actor, so I'd be excited to see him in another antagonist in a horror movie.
He was in Avatar, right? He was
in Avatar. You know what? Another movie he's in is Tombstone. He plays the cowardly guy. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Somebody started on Tombstone.
Tombstone is amazing.
I'll be a Huckleberry.
Scream.
By the way, I had to look that up
Tombstone.
because I was like, that is the most awkward thing I've ever heard anybody say. Because
I'm your Huckleberry.
yeah, well, okay. Because when I heard that, I was like, did he mean to say Dingleberry?
Oh my god. No, Tombstone.
Anyway,
one of the all-time classics. You're a daisy if you do. And one more. Why, Johnny Ringo looks like somebody just walked right over your grave. Just the best.
It is a good one.
And hell's coming with me.
Yes.
Good old Kurt.
We could just keep going.
Yeah, he's the best. So we got some Hellraiser news, guys. The Hulu's Hellraiser. Remember, there are two competing Hellraiser properties. Remember that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There is this one, the new Hulu movie, has just received an R rating. This is the David Bruckner one that has cast Jamie Clayton as the female hell priest. But we have it is rated R, obviously, for strong bloody violence and gore and language throughout, and sexual content and graphic nudity. It sounds like a Hellraiser property to me. How about you?
It does sound a lot like a Hellraiser property.
Sounds
I remember
like
watching that movie, and I know one day we will get to it. I remember watching that movie when I was a kid, and I was like terrified.
Dude, I watched Hellraiser at way too young.
Me too.
Way too young. We'll get into that. But yeah, it's a psychosexual thrill ride, that one.
Just the skinless guy. Like that part alone, you're just like
yeah. Then you just see Pinhead and you're like, Pinhead's scary himself. All right. We got some Neve Campbell news. She will lead the cast for David E. Kelly's new mystery series, Avalon, for ABC. It takes place in the city of Avalon on Catalina Island, where LA Sheriff's Department detective Nicole Seary, played by Campbell, heads up a small office. Catalina has a local population that serves more than 1 million tourists a year, And each day when the fairies arrive, hundreds of potential new stories enter the island. Detective Siri is pulled into a career-defining mystery that will change everything she knows about herself and the island. What do you guys think?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I just want to know if one of the episodes will be set at the Catalina Wine Convention.
Catalina Wine Mixer, maybe.
Darn, it was the mixer. Dang
The fucking Catalina Wine Mixer.
it. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I love Nev. I want her to do as much as she can, and since she's not going to be in Scream 6, you know,
that this reminds me of the time I saw this once, where they tried to take the main character out of a movie series. It was Halloween 3, and we saw what happened there.
Well, it ended up being a banger because it has our Lord and Savior, Tom Atkins.
Well, yeah, he was a saving grace, but I'm just saying.
He was.
It's not the most renowned chapter
No,
of that historic franchise.
I mean, you change slasher movie heroes all the time. That's fine, but not with Scream. I mean, it's been 25 years, and it's been always Sydney. So that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's that is the worst part about that is it's not like you did one and then you changed, like Friday the 13th, right?
Yeah.
That one has a new one every single chapter, but like this one is so established.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it's just dumb. That's a dumb decision on their behalf. But
guys, it's been a week, or it's been a couple weeks since we did this, but it's time for some Monsters news.
Oh I thought we were done with that.
I'm done with it. No.
We won't be done until it is released.
Warner Brothers do that? Did they cut it?
No,
did the Batgirl?
No, they did not. They didn't. We're like Robert Downey Jr. from Tropic Thunder. We don't stop till the DVD commentary on this one.
That's hilarious that you would say that. I thought about that today in the shower for some reason.
It's a good one. Like, it's so funny.
I'm the dude playing another dude.
Yeah.
So this is just a little bit of news, but there is oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. There is a vinyl from Waxwork Records, a single for Lily and Herman singing "I Got You, Babe."
Oh
boy.
Is it good? Have you heard it?
I don't know. I can't hear it. But I see the vinyl. You guys want to see the cover of the vinyl?
Sure.
Might as well.
I love that song. That's such a good song. Classic.
It is. Bam, 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 bam.
I keep trying to get Jake to sing it with me. Oh. Oh.
I think that does sum it up pretty well. Whoa.
What is Herman doing?
I don't know.
This is what Sonny looked like right before he hit the tree.
Oh my God.
Derrick, you cannot say that. Gosh. You guys are terrible. Just terrible.
That is terrible. Look at Derrick. He's dead over there.
What if Cher listens to this? What if Cher listens to our podcast?
Thank you, Cher, for listening to our podcast.
She doesn't. You don't have to thank her.
You don't know. She could be one of the 100+ that we've got. So
I'm sure.
This might be the episode where she cuts ties with us. But
I was really enjoying Scream Bloody movies till Derrick brought up the death of my ex-husband via a tree.
Yeah. Yeah, and the 50 subscribers that are like mega Sonny and Cher fans.
Yeah. You're gonna half them. You're gonna half them with that joke. All right. And then our last bit of horror news is we have filming has started on Insidious 5, which we talked about with Patrick Wilson as director and star. and with a story written by Lee Winnell. And just a refresher, the plot is 10 years after the end of Insidious 2. Josh Lambert heads east to drop his son Dalton off at an idyllic, ivy-covered university. However, Dalton's college dream becomes a nightmare when the repressed demons of his past suddenly return to haunt them both. Also, it looks like Rose Byrne is returning as his wife, and Ty Simpkins is also returning as Dalton. So it's all the original cast.
Nice.
That's A+.
I'm excited for this.
A+ stuff.
We need to get into the Insidious movies. I think they're fun. There's a lot to talk about there.
Definitely
They are.
Well, maybe one of us should pick that here soon. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I already know what this week's.
I will kill you if you do what I think you're going to do. Just, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Say no more. Say no more. Some Python for you guys. All right, guys. Miyagi time. Let's get into it. Let's talk about 2009's crazy film, Orphan. So let's start with you, Lydia. This is your pick. What are your... this is the first time you watched Orphan, correct?
Right, yeah. I watched it probably like the year it came out at... I think it was at my friend's house with like a big group of friends, like a slumber party situation. So it was so fun and shocking and, disturbing and twisted. It was a great time. So good memories.
It's definitely all of those. Derrick, this is your first time watching this, correct?
It is my first time.
Were you even aware of this movie?
Yeah, I'd seen previews for it, and the cover is very eye-catching. It's just, find the time to watch that movie, but I'm glad I did. Yeah.
My experience is similar to yours, Lydia, minus the all the girls sleeping over at my house. I watched this when it came out too. I think I was actually living in Bunker Hill at the time. So it came out and we rented it and I watched it and I liked it a lot. Like I didn't know anything about it, like besides just, killer kid movie. So I went in cold without knowing what the twist was, like you did probably. So I go in and I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to kind of piece together some stuff. I think I kind of know what's going on. And then that shoe drops and it's like, yep. They did go that route. That's the route they went. And it fucking rules. Like, what a great reveal. So this time...
go ahead. Sorry.
This time I watched it with Sarah, and she did not see the twist at all. And the twist happened, and she's just like... I watch her as it's happening, and I'm looking over, and she's like... And I said, so did you see that twist coming? She goes, I did not.
That's amazing. No. I love that. I love that so much.
I kept it from her, so that way the twist could happen. What were you saying, Derrick?
I was going to say, so unlike most of the horror movies that we watch, now, obviously the killing portion didn't happen, but I think we alluded to this on a previous podcast that was last week or the week before. This happened in real life. This couple from Indiana adopted a girl from, and I want to say she wasn't from the U.S.
Right.
And it turns out she had this rare genetic disorder, and the only way that they figured it out was her dental records. So the reveal where she takes out her fake teeth.
Well,
yeah.
And there's a great bit where she's like trying to avoid going to the dentist. And then once the shoe drops, you understand why. And you're like, oh, well, that makes sense now. It's not just a little phobia, because kids have phobias of dentists. Yeah. So let's start by talking about Esther herself, which is played by Isabella Fuhrman. What do you guys think of Esther? What do you think of Isabella Furman's performance as Esther?
How old was she when she did this movie?
Isabel Furman was 11, I do believe, when this movie came out.
I still don't understand how an 11-year-old could play such a mature role and kill it like she did, not be traumatized when you're an adult.
Oh, I know.
I don't know how that happens. That's got to be like magic. I'm just in awe because she did a fantastic job, and the material for this was so above what you would expect a 12-year-old to be able to handle. So kudos.
She's actually younger than that. I am sorry. Wait, no. That's right. 97. Yeah, she was going on 12 because was born in 97. This movie shot in 2008 because it came out in 2009. So yeah, 11 years old.
She is so amazing. Like, I mean, I remember being like really scared of her when this movie came out, and like over the years, I'm just like, dang, I love her. Like, she is awesome. She does such an amazing job. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, she is awesome in this movie, like stone cold awesome. And she plays it so, like you said, Derek, the maturity of the character and the manipulation that she uses, especially with her younger sister Max, and the way she befriends her and manipulates her. It's so in her little accent that she has that's just vaguely Eastern European. It's so good. She nails it, man. She's fun and scary. All the things you want in a little demon killer child.
I know, and you know the sad thing is, like, she's extraordinarily bright. Like the actual character, she can play the piano very well, which surprises the mom. She obviously. Yeah, she picked up on sign language like very quickly.
I think she already knew it. I think she already knew it.
Yeah, and I didn't know if it was clear there, but it seemed like she was just practicing in the car, and then like she just picked up on it pretty well.
I think she was pretending in the car, pretending to practice, just like she was pretending that she didn't play the piano.
Yeah, I mean,
it was all manipulation tactics. Yeah.
Yep, very well could be. I mean, either way, she picked it up or she knew it rather quickly. What I'm saying is, like, yes, you're born with this genetic disorder. I don't know what happened in her past to make her a crazy person, but she's very bright.
Yeah, but she's a sociopath is the problem. She's she's just psychotic.
And some of that I think can be trauma when you're a kid, and I don't know if First Kill alludes to any trauma that happened. That's something that we'll have to get into.
I think she's one of those born. I think she's one of those born bad characters. But yeah, she's great in it, and is terrifying. The scene where she goes in and threatens Danny with the box cutter. She's so good in that. When she is threatening him, she's like, "I'll cut off your little prick before you even know what to do with it." And then she says,
So freaky.
"She says you pissed yourself."
Yeah.
There's also a fair amount of comedy in this movie too. Upon this watch, I picked up on a fair amount of comedy. But let's talk about our other characters, which is Vera Farmiga. It plays the mother character, and her character's name is where is it? She plays Kate. So Vera Farmiga in this movie, just like she is in every single movie, is amazing. Right? She's just amazing.
Agreed.
She is.
The opening scene, she plays it so well, that surreal, terrible dream where she reenacts her miscarriage, and it's like all this wild stuff because she sees her husband like delivering it, and then she sees him photographing it. What, Derek?
I love the play on lights in this opening scene. Like every time she has a contraction, the light like they I don't know, that's just an effect that they do, but like maybe they over flare the lights, but I
Yeah.
love that little aspect of it. They did a lot of really cool things in this movie with lights.
Yeah, well, it showed us that she's in a dream. There's also this great the shot where we get the overhead shot and we see the trail of blood from the wheelchair.
And the nurse is just walking.
Yeah, really cool one too. But she's amazing in this. She's great. She plays a great mom that has dealing with trauma, dealing with personal demons, and trying to do what's best for her family. And then there's Peter Skarsgård as her husband. What do you guys think of him?
I didn't realize that was one of the Skarsgårds, but just hit me. He does a good job in this. There's a scene where
Sarsgaard, not Skarsgård. Sarsgaard.
Oh, so he's not.
No, he's not.
I mean, good luck deciphering that. That sounds so close. Anyway,
yeah.
We'll get past that. But no, he did a really good job.
Tall, so.
Or blonde.
I mean, that is true. But yeah, he does a good job.
No, I think he does great. I'm talking about his character. What do you guys think of his character?
Kind of a prick sometimes.
John. Yeah. John is definitely a prick, I feel.
He goes in and out, man.
I feel like he means well, but he also just does not listen to his wife whatsoever. And is kind of just almost aloof to a lot of things. And it's kind of wild to me. Like, if my wife told me that this girl that we just were adopting, like some of the crazier shit that she'd experienced, I'd be like, let's probably look into that.
So I thought they did a really good job of setting up the backstory to their relationship, and they did it in pieces, right? So like, at first you just, you think that they went through this stillborn thing, right?
A trauma. Yeah. Piece of the trauma. Yeah.
Is a trauma. And then they are looking to adopt because they've got this void that they're trying to fill. But then it reveals itself that, that led to her becoming an alcoholic.
Yes. And then that led to Max almost drowning in the pond. And then we find out that a lot of that trauma is from finding out that John cheated on her at the beginning of their relationship. And she didn't find out until 2 years ago. So around the time that all this shit started happening.
Yeah. And so she's been in therapy for quite a while.
Yeah, she's trying to better herself. Yeah, Kate's trying to better herself.
Yeah, and so I there's like 5% of me that could understand like how he could maybe dissociate some of it of what she's saying as being reality, and like maybe she's playing into it. But yeah, there's one scene that really pisses me off, really makes me mad. It's when Esther first gets there, and she's being introduced to the family, and the little boy is playing Guitar Hero with his friend, and all he wants is his dad's attention, and his dad like blows him off, man, like hardcore. That made me hate his character.
Well, I understand that bit because he's trying to like welcome in. He's trying to make this, and he's just trying to
moment.
Yeah, and he's trying to just be like, "Hey, Dad, pay attention to me instead." It's a jealousy thing, and he's trying to not play into both. But it's the way he could have. I mean, he tries. He's like, "Yeah, buddy, that's really cool."
It's the way he did it, because he did a really good job in this movie, and it's the way that he delivered it. Like, you're being annoying to me is the way I interpreted the way that he handled that situation, and I just thought it was.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Because this is a big moment for their entire family. It's not like you're bringing home a newborn baby. Like, you're bringing home somebody who's.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. And also, but what doesn't make sense to me is why would you have one of his fucking friends over?
That is also true. Yeah.
You say, hey, you're meeting your new sister. Everybody's going to be, this is all about her because we're bringing her into the family. You have a talk about it, but there's no communications going on with this family at this time. There's no communication. But Max, the actress that plays Max is great too.
Oh yeah.
So cute.
She is very, very cute. She is actually deaf, partially deaf in real life.
That's great. I wondered,
Mhm.
and that's amazing that they sought somebody who had that.
Yeah. Her name is Ariana Engineer. Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, she's great. The like interplay with her and Esther is like sweet at first, and then it just starts getting more malicious. Starts to give me vibes of, I don't know if you guys remember this classic. Starts to give me some vibes of The Good Son.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Get some Good Son going on. We need to do The Good Son at some point.
It is. That scene where they throw the
dummy.
The dummy.
Yeah. And that's similar to her throwing Max in front of the sister's car.
Oh my gosh.
I'll tell you this.
Man.
CCH Pounder took a pounding in this role.
She did. With blunt objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she did. Yeah, so the setup is really good because the first, I would say, half hour of the movie, there's no real horror at all. There's no like suspense. It's all just setting up they do these false scares. That way they're like, remember, you're watching a horror movie. You know what I mean? To keep the tone consistent. And then once Esther is introduced, there's some sweet moments. And then she just slowly starts to take the mask down. You see who she is. And she does some fucked up shit. What do you guys think, besides murder, of course? What do you guys think the most fucked up thing Esther did was?
That's actually kind of tough to answer. Like, she does a lot.
I want to say kill the bird, because that could be traumatizing to the kid. Like the little boy is already like,
I
didn't mean to hurt him, and then she's like, you need to put it out of its misery. You're just like, okay, Psycho B.
She manipulates the entire family
against
to get the
themselves.
mom. Yeah, against each other, against the mom, really, and then paints just UV light paint all over her room.
Yeah,
like
that is so cool.
Yeah, her
maybe
her trying to bang her dad, foster dad.
I mean, she's like 36.
She is.
She's got
33.
needs.
Yeah.
Right,
dude.
Well, yeah. But she I think that's another thing is when she tries to seduce him is like
that's really messed
extra messed up.
Well, at that moment especially. But what
there's a lot.
That falls under attempted murder.
That's true.
To me, it's when she pulls the flowers.
I knew you were gonna go there. Yeah.
Dude, okay.
Every time.
All, though, that is such a bad idea to put so much meaning into a plant that could die like at any time. You know what I mean? Like, that's a horrible idea.
But it's just the gesture and whatever. But can you imagine you put this into this and then she, like, somebody who literally rips it out, kills her again in your heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You want to hear something really fucked up?
What?
I actually have something like this because I've mentioned this before on this podcast that my baby brother was stillborn when I was 5 or so, and so we had this experience in our family of like, we didn't adopt an orphan that was 33 or anything, but we went through this trauma in our family when I was very young, and my mom planted a tree. Of course, there was a tree for each of us. And when we moved out of our house that I grew up at, that someone cut it down.
Oh,
I think cut both of them down. So that was kind of upsetting because they knew about it. They knew that the trees meant a lot, and they still cut them down. So after they said they wouldn't, so hopefully they don't listen to this. But that was kind of like, don't do that. Don't plant a tree for someone, or don't plant a plant for someone. Like,
unless vandalize their house.
TP.
Yeah, not so far as arson like she did to
right, no, I mean, I'm over it. I'm just saying it's a really fucked up thing to do, to put something on something so much value onto something that you have no control over.
Yeah, yeah. Especially she spread her ashes in there, and it's like, oh, yeah,
There
that's
was
messed
hope
up.
though, because that plant was probably still alive.
It seemed
It
like
just
it.
had to
There's leaves on it.
regrow. It just had to regrow.
Jamie, I know where you're coming from, because I too felt like that was a complete violation of. So the mother,
It's
like, that
because
was a
the
very
trust.
vulnerable. Yeah, it was a very
Yeah.
vulnerable thing for her to do. Like, hey, this thing means the world to me because it's the only thing I have that represents this person that I thought I was going to bring into the world. So she was very vulnerable, and that was the wrong thing to do. She came from a good place trying to do that, to open up. But man, when she puts her arm in that vice grip,
Oh yeah,
Oh,
break her arm just so that
that's
she
the
can
most fucked up thing.
that's pretty fucked up. Yeah,
play the like, oh, mommy grabbed me, daddy.
yeah.
She broke my arm.
And that's one of those other things. It's like when he's like, you broke her arm by, and I was like, you were there, you saw.
Oh, that she did not
Do you
that.
think she is like RoboCop? I don't understand.
Literally, vice grip.
You think she's from Futurama? And she's got the cramps. Clamps, go get him.
Clamps. That was the thing that made me cringe, I think, the most of this whole movie. I was just like, no.
It's a good one.
Was it the part where
I forgot about it?
Popped and
yeah,
she pops it back into place.
Just the thought of it just makes me like lose my mind. Just to do that to yourself, like, oh my gosh.
One of my favorite suspense bits in the movie is when she gives the bully her comeuppance. And I'm not going to lie, that bully deserved to get some comeuppance. That what a mean person.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that suspense scene where it's like a slasher scene where she's being stalked and you don't see.
She is. Yeah,
that's such a good scene. Because we're going through like the little like playhouse, and each time we get false scares because we think it's Esther each time. And each time it turns out to be something else. What do you guys love that scene?
Yeah, I like that. I like the way it's set up, that she's like on the swing and she's staring at her, and the dad is like hitting on some lady.
Dude,
and she's watching everything. She sees it all. And that girl sees her looking at her and she's like, I am in trouble.
Yes.
Then she's disappeared. She's like, look at her. It's like she is scared. I'm so like, good. You should be scared because you totally deserve that.
Yeah, I mean, she's a little asshole the entire time. Speaking of this, let's circle back to that PTA woman comes up and starts hitting on him hardcore.
Yeah. Gross.
And like totally. And he's just all like, the fact that he didn't immediately just, kind of like, put it up. He went with it for way too long than he should have. Because she's
checking her out.
Yeah, how'd the PT? He's like, well, it's not the same without you. And he's like, takes off his hat. And we're like,
yeah,
no,
gross.
The only saving grace he has is at the end of that conversation. He does say that, like, oh yeah, because she's asked him if, oh, can you come over and move a chair for me? I'm going to be dressed in lingerie, but either way,
yeah.
And he was like, oh yeah, well. He alluded.
Me and Kate.
Yeah, Kate and I can come over.
Kate and I will come help. That's his only saving grace. But yeah, he did take it a little.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But did he mean it? But did he mean it like that, or was he just saying?
I don't know. That's what he said.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like he let it happen way too long. If it would have been a couple lines here and there, then he's like, well, how's your husband? Or Kate and I are doing something. Mention her early, but the fact that he just let it happen and kept the flirting, and then finally was like. Because she said, well, he did blow her off. He did. He blew her off like he said he did. But he didn't tell his wife about it. And Esther, being the little manipulated, evil person she is, tells Kate about it. Tells Kate about it. So then it sows distrust. And there's that great scene where they're fighting in the bedroom. And she's in there painting, smiling because she can hear them like yelling at each other. Oh!
How
What an
messed up
evil
is
bee.
that?
What an evil bee.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on your perspective. She probably was like, score.
Oh, she 100% was. She was like, it's working perfectly to plan. I don't know what her end game was. She doesn't have one because she's psychotic.
Yeah.
In her twisted mind, she's going to just seduce the dad, and then I guess
Be in love
he'd be with her. But it's just like the end game is pretty messed up.
I mean, you'd have to get with a family that has a really messed up dad in order for your plan to even work.
Yeah,
because at that point he thinks you're a 12-year-old little girl, so he would have to be good with like pedophilia.
I think Esther's supposed to be even younger. I think she's supposed to be like 9.
You're right.
The character's supposed to be like 9, right?
Yeah, I think they did say she was supposed to be 9.
That's a no for me, dog. I mean, that's some Chris Hansen shit.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like he freaks out. So you're because
did she drug him or she drugged him? Right? She had to because he only had like 1 glass of wine.
No, he drank a whole bottle, bro. He drank a whole bottle.
You know,
remember, he opens the bottle at the beginning and pours it into the cup, and then the last time we see him, he empties it. So he's been just sitting there drinking. He drank a whole bottle of wine.
Bottle of wine. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Derrick. One bottle of wine would destroy you. Don't even lie.
It would totally destroy me. I was talking to my wife about this the other day about how we're lightweights, but man, I would if a 9-year-old was trying to hit on me, I'd totally be a little more cognizant of what's going on.
Well, he was. That's what I'm saying. They didn't make it to where he's creepy. Like he wasn't like.
Well, and he's also delirious.
Yeah,
of like being in the hospital all night and like whatever, all this stuff that he's been going through.
His son almost died. In the original script, his son did die, by the way.
Really?
Almost died twice.
Yeah. Yeah. In the original script, he dies in the hospital. But they're like, that's too much.
That is too much.
They've already lost all. She's gonna lose her husband. Don't make her lose her son too. So they've dialed that back and made him live, which I think is the right choice.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's just a little too much to handle. And plus that poor kid went through enough. He escaped the fire, got smashed off, then got suffocated. Dude, in the fact that she puts on the heart monitor and it doesn't like start spiking. She just cools a cucumber.
Yeah.
Because she's a psychotic. Dude, I've never wanted anything more than when she smacks her in the hospital. I'm like, yeah. Right. Beat the shit out of her.
But then you're like, well, that's not good because now the phone's ringing with all the answers you've been looking for.
Yeah. All of it. Like if she wouldn't have, she would have got it and be like, oh, hey, it's her.
Yeah.
Arrest her now. Her husband will still be alive. But there's a scene earlier in the movie where she it's when she's going to take Max and she's going to sneak out with the kids. And Esther's sitting in there and she turns on the light.
Yeah.
And she has that like, and she's like, go to your room. She's like, we're past that, Kate. And she just does that whole bit. And she's like, what are you going to do? Hit me? I told Sarah, I was like, you better goddamn believe it. I would have knocked her head right off her shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I kind of forgot about that. But yeah, she's like, the facade is over. We're way past that. Or the part where she forgets her place at the end, like with the father.
Yeah.
She's like, stop treating me like I'm a child. And I'm just like, I mean, you've been portraying a child the entire time.
Yeah.
Why would you think that he wouldn't treat you that way? But
he thinks you are one. Yeah.
Yeah, you crazy bee.
So when she starts manipulating everything and making it seem like Kate is back on the sauce when she's not, that she's unstable when she's not, that she's the reason that they're not connecting because she has trauma. It's just she paints all this stuff and paints it on Kate, and there's this horrible therapist who is just an idiot, and she's just some Mrs. Doubtfire looking motherfucker. It's like, I think she's right. And you're like, shut up, Mrs. Doubtfire, get out of here. But when she freaking takes the emergency brake off of the car,
Yeah. Yeah.
That is
No,
such
I
an
was.
intense scene. Like that is so just nightmarish of like seeing your car like rolling away with your child in it. Like I could not imagine. I had chills during that. Like that freaks me out.
Dude, when that guy almost gets in, he tries
And
to
he
chase it
falls.
down. Yeah. She just narrowly misses everything and smashes into that snowbank. You're like, what an evil fucking, ugh. And
Yeah.
I'm
No.
sorry, but at that point, and the kids have been manipulated, but I mean, I don't know why after she held the box cutter to Danny's throat, I don't know why Danny didn't go down the next morning and say, hey, so she fucking held a box cutter at my dick in my throat. Why would I lie about that? She's got to go. And if my kid ever told me that, I'd be like, this is definitely worth investigating. I wouldn't just be like, oh, you're just lying. Nobody would lie. Nobody makes that up.
Right.
And I was like, go tell your parents right now. You'd save everything. But they're scared now, so they won't do it. And Max is in too deep, because Max is also afraid that she participated in old CCH Pounder getting devastated with a hammer.
Oh yeah, well she Esther tells her like, you'll go to jail too.
Yeah, and
because
Max is very young.
Do it.
Yeah, she's very young, so of course she believes it.
Yeah, she's so impressionable, and I think at first she, even though she was doing bad things, I mean, obviously killing somebody was the step too far, but
yes,
like all the little things she was doing, I think that she wanted to have a sister. She wanted to have that bond, and I feel like that's why she kind of like lied in the beginning, the little white lies, like, oh, did something happen? No. But yeah, then she got in way too deep.
Absolutely. You're saying Max did. Max absolutely did. There's a scene early in the movie that is really good, where Kate is reading her a bedtime story. In a bedtime story, well, she's citing a bedtime story.
No, I couldn't do it, man.
The bedtime story is about her sister Jessica and how she's not there anymore, and how she went to heaven, and it's very, very touching. It's a very beautiful scene. And so that
broke my heart.
Yes, it's very sad. And that plants the seeds of her wanting a sister. So we know her motivation. We know that for the little white lies and the playground stuff, we know why she covered for it. She wants a sister. And also, Esther has been super nice to her this whole time, playing with her, taking her, in the snow, all this stuff. So she developed, and Esther does it, of course, to manipulate her so she can get anything she wants from her. There's no connection there. She's just a, evil little demon. And then the only time she shows emotion as far as crying is when she gets rejected by John, because it's like, that's the object of her fixation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only time she feels emotion. And then after that, it's just back to manipulation and hate. The makeup job they do on her when she is old is awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Real quick, that scene of them doing the bedtime, man, that was so good. There's no way I could have done that. That's like reliving trauma every night, because she wanted that bedtime story, and she was like, can we please do something else? Not again. Which, by the way, I have this exact same thing, not the trauma part, but it's really kind of cute. So Clark's got this little fart book. It's a book about tooting, and like it was really
like
cute when he was. Yeah, well, I know, right? It hits really close to home, and so
your Uncle Jamie and me are really one with the farts.
Yeah. So I used to read this to him a lot whenever he was younger, but like the last couple of nights, and even for his nap time, he'll walk in there and he does the exact same thing. He'll pull it out and be like, "We haven't read this one in a while."
Like, we just read
that one. but it's too cute. I have to read it. So
Sounds like
her
there's a little bit. Sounds like there's a little bit of trauma in there, Derrick.
Maybe.
No, I agree. I think that's a great scene.
Yeah.
When the twist happens, Derrick, you knew about the twist going in, so you already knew that she was an adult person.
An adult. Yeah.
Yeah, you knew that. Lydia, you did not going in. What was your reaction when the other shoe dropped?
Just shocked. I remember. I think like the whole room of like, everyone that was at the slumber party that night. We were all like, "What? Oh my god!" We were freaking out. Probably throwing popcorn and whatever. like just typical like freaked out.
Yeah,
Kids. It was so fun. I had such a great time that night, and I do remember being like really shocked, and we were all like really freaked out and disturbed.
Like I said,
I
kind of started to piece together the twist. I would say about when she started talking about the institute, because I was like, at first I was like, okay, so maybe she is an escaped patient. You know what I mean? Like she's from a like home for like gifted children, and she assumed an identity or whatever. So I'm trying to piece it together, and then when she refuses to go to the dentist, and she's like, talking to she sees like the Sarn Institute or whatever. I was like, there's no way. I mean, the only other thing I can think of in my mind is that she's a grown up, but there's just no way.
There's no way. There's no way to do that.
I was like, there's just no way they're going to do that. There's no way they're going to do that twist. I was like, if they do, it's going to be terrible. And then they do it, and it's awesome. And I was like,
and it's perfect.
I stand corrected. Great twist.
Yeah, they nailed it. They nailed it.
They did. I love that twist.
And that's the thing. It's like especially when you're a person who likes to predict the end of like the horror movie or the twist that's gonna happen or whatever, and then you're just like watching this one and you're like, well, there's no way that's there's no way it could be that.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. And
that would be silly.
Love. Like I like going along for the rides, and I don't always try to predict them. But I also just am thinking the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, what would I do? And like what choices would I make if this were my movie? What choices would I make? And I love it when I'm completely wrong, because then I'm surprised, and I'm like, what a great choice, even if it's bad. I'm like, I was surprised by that choice. It's not something I would have done, but this one is a really bold choice and a really fun choice. And the fact that how they explain it, she has this form of dwarfism, the reason, because I knew there was something when she wouldn't take off her ribbon. I was like, there's something underneath there that like gives her away as something. You know what I mean? There's definitely something. And then
she locks her door at night.
Yeah, well, when she locks her door not only at night, but only when she's in the shower, when she's taking a shower. Which, by the way, a little sidebar here. She was like, "What are you doing? We don't lock the door around here." And I was like, "Fair enough," but also, she is kind of a stranger, and she's getting naked in your house. I understand why, if she wasn't a psychotic, she still might lock the door for a while.
Yeah. Especially being in an orphanage.
She's like,
yes,
this one seemed like it was on the up and up, but you could also see, and you hear stories all the time about how there is all kinds of situations that people get taken advantage of. So I would
absolutely,
that totally made sense that she wanted to lock the door.
Me too, and I wouldn't have a problem with it, except for when I was thinking about it, I was also like, well, I see why Kate doesn't want her to. What if she starts drowning in the tub or something? She needs to get in there. I get that too, but like I was like, she's like in a house of strangers. So, but then when you look back on it, you realize the reason she was doing that is because she's fully developed. She has a fully developed body. We see she has been taping down her breasts. So, I mean, yikes, Can you imagine you walking in, you're like
crazy.
And she has the makeup on her face, of course, too, to make her appear young. So when she's in the shower, that's all gone. She has to remake herself up.
Yeah.
But the makeup job
back hilarious when she was like like putting something in the drawer or something, and it's like stuck, and she's like, oh, and then finds a book, and it's like clearly not the thing that was making the drawers.
Oh yeah.
Me and Jake both kind of laughed at that. We were like, oh.
Well, no, I like that scene because it makes you think that there's like a suspense moment, but there's not. That's what's great about it. And also, she sees no significance to the book, so she just puts it back.
It's a Bible.
Yeah, and
then with a random picture.
Yeah, and we find out that it has all the pictures of all the men in the previous foster or the previous adoption dads that she just tried to bang and then killed. But yeah,
kind of reminds me of like a like Interview with a Vampire, when like they, you don't make a child vampire because like they age and don't ever mature, like physically.
They're just stuck as a child.
Yeah, kind of has that kind of like, she just desperately wants to like be an adult so that she can find love, and
but she doesn't.
Has a hard time. But she doesn't.
Yeah, she doesn't want to do that because she's passing herself off as a child, so she can get close to these men and take over family because she's a evil thing. If she just wanted to.
Is she evil, or is she like just mentally ill? Is she mentally unstable?
No, she's evil. She's evil. She takes pleasure in the shit she does. Yeah. You could see it when she's smiling and she's laughing at the death, and the fact that she just wants to kill freaking Danny so bad when she freaking she was ready to like smash his head with that rock, and Max pushes her down and saves her. And then after everything, she even tries to kill Max still for no reason. Just wants to kill her. What do you guys think of the final chase here? First of all, we have John's death. What do you guys think of that one?
That's pretty brutal.
It is. It's a pretty good suspense scene.
The heck out of him.
Yeah.
Jake was counting the stabs out loud, so it was like very much overkill.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Well, she got rejected, man. She doesn't take that very well.
I forgot that
it was
he
brutal.
got killed too. So
yeah, it is brutal. I think the suspense scene leading up to it is good because at the same time that they're going through that, she is on the phone trying to call John to let him know what's happening, and he, is dealing with this, and he gets stabbed right in the back.
Yeah.
That started off. He's like, looks down and has a knife in his back. Sarah's like, if he wasn't drunk, he probably could have killed her. I was like, well, yeah, he could have. She's a little tiny thing. Of course he could have. But yeah, she. That's a good one.
Wrap my hands all around her little neck.
What do you guys think of the end, the whole third act chase scene? I think it's incredibly well done.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Like Derrick was saying, like the lighting and like the suspense of like the hiding spots, and the house is so gorgeous.
Oh yeah, beautiful house. Yeah,
it was a gorgeous house.
No, it's a beautiful house. Yeah,
loved it.
And that just reminds me because I love that he had like a full drafting table and like an art room.
Yeah, and has like the protractor and everything.
Yeah, and he's like, come draw with me, like come, and I just like, I wish he really was like an adoptable little girl that
no, he tries. I think as a father, I don't think he's a good father. I think he's trying really hard.
He was trying, and I just wish that could have worked out for all of them.
I think he has really good intentions. He's just kind of a dumbass about it. But
I think they both had good intentions, and if they would have gotten any other little girl in that orphanage other than the crazy one, they probably would have been just fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they would have.
Always be suspicious when their art's that good at that age.
Always be suspicious when they're walking around with ribbons on their neck that you don't let them take off, and they have mysterious backstories. You know,
It's true.
Just rub their face. Make sure that's not makeup.
Make sure they're not Jack Nicholson under there.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotta be careful.
Gotta get in there.
Get in there. No, what the third act, guys? What do you guys think of the third act?
Suspenseful. It's so good.
Yeah, I think it's well shot. It's well shot. It's very suspenseful.
It's just good.
There's a lot of
It's like
emotion too.
Yeah, a lot. Absolutely, a lot of good character
great
work.
acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she's up top of the greenhouse and she sees Max down at the bottom, and she's signaling to her and giving her sign language. So good. It's so good. Like, that just she knows she's in danger. She's like, stay down, stay hidden. And Esther, still tries to kill Max after she shoots at her. So I've got to say, guys, once she breaks through that window of the thing and lands on top of her, is it just me, or would you guys have totally put a bullet in the back of her head while she's laying?
Double tap that, man. Double
That's
tap.
what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I was like, tie her up. Like,
You could do that
double
too.
tap,
Yeah.
do something. I said like 10 different options that she should have done there. And like,
You could have
didn't do anything.
tied her up, and because the police are on the way, so I'd call the police. So you could have tied her up, but I think I just would have. We're good to, even if you did it like in the leg, to be honest, so she just couldn't move anywhere. Whatever, but she has the gun, but she's just like,
because she's so manipulative that she might be able to get out of it. Like she might.
Yeah.
I mean, and even if she did kill her right there, they would just be like, "You slapped her in a hospital earlier and chased her here," like like whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they would just put her in
for sure.
prison.
I mean, the only the thing
Except
that
that they
at
would-
this point, they would have.
yeah,
the
they have all the
doctors.
evidence now. They have the
Yeah.
doctor's
That's true,
evidence.
That's true, yeah.
They have that she's not wearing her teeth. They have the dental records. They have all of it. They have the witnesses from both kids that are survived that can tell them what happened. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, man.
she could have totally went to prison. And then if you kept her alive, you could have done another sequel as opposed to a prequel. But the ending is pretty banger. I feel like when they're fighting on the ice and they fall through, and that kick she gives her is brutal.
It's so
When she-
gross.
Oh, it's so good because she's like, "Mommy, don't let me die, Mommy." And she has the knife behind her back. And you're just like, "Oh, don't fall for it." And of course she's not going to fall for it at this point. She knows. And she's like, "I'm not your fucking mommy," and kicks her face off, basically. Like you hear her neck break.
Yeah.
And she just floats down to the bottom. What do you think of that demise, Derrick?
I think it was fitting, and I do like the dialogue there.
Mhm.
Save me, mommy. I mean, at this point, like you have like really messed this lady's life up.
Yeah.
That was a shot in the dark of her having any type of sympathy for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
mommy.
that's what the manipulators do. They manipulate till the end, Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
still try. I mean, we'll talk about Good Son. We're not going to spoil it because we'll talk about Good Son when we review it. But the ending of Good Son is very similar. He tries the same tactic, and it's just like, you can only take so much as a human being.
Right. I mean, that scene where she discovers that her husband is dead, like,
Oh, it's very
Yeah,
good.
that's what I meant by it was very emotional.
Yeah.
Because they had their problems, but she loved her husband.
Yeah, and he loved her
absolutely,
too.
like, it doesn't.
The one scene that pissed me off in this movie, the one scene I actually was just like, "Oh, shut up," was when the therapist is sitting there with him, and they're like, "We're going to have to have an intervention." And I was like, based off what evidence you found a wine bottle, she could take a, alcohol test right now, and you would see she has not drank. Like, give her some grace. And he's just like, "I'm giving you 1 week to go into rehab, or I'm taking the kids." And I was like, kind of maybe tap the brakes here, guy. First of all, you're doing a terrible job at your intervention because you're both just attacking and not even like, "Hey, let's try to do blah blah." I mean, I've watched Intervention. I know how it's supposed to work. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
really
it's-
hated that psychiatrist
You
character.
can kind of see his point though if you're looking at it like from his view of like the girl has been nothing but amazing with him.
No,
And
she has.
is
Yeah.
totally different with the mom. So she's like, and she even says that she's like, but he just doesn't believe her because the therapist told him that she's probably acting different because of this trauma that she has had to go through. So
Yeah, but you've got to put some
he's
trust
like,
in
well,
your
she's a
wife
professional.
every once in a while.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I do see the professional, like when they take her to see the therapist, and then after her
Yeah.
session, she has nothing but good thing. You know, like, oh, you know,
Mhm.
this is a classic case of this, because she definitely manipulated her. But as a therapist, the farthest thing from your mind is this 9-year-old girl is a psychotic, crazy person. I don't know how, like, that would be
Listen,
a hard.
that's always on my mind every time I meet a 9-year-old girl.
I tell you what I am going to do. If I ever meet a little girl that's got amazing art, I'm going to hold a black light up there and see if there's any, like, that, by the way, like I said, there were a good play on lights at the beginning, and they also had that like neon intro as well. And I loved the payoff for that, because when she it was the mom, right? Whenever she goes in,
No,
and it was the dad.
It's John.
It's the
It's
dad,
John.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he sees the fish
he sees-
light.
Yeah, because he sees all the pictures of him on the wall. There's one where she's like completely naked on top of him, and he's just like, "What?"
See, I thought she painted the two of them in the kitchen. Is what I thought that
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah, but there's also her and him,
oh, I
and
missed that part.
yeah, on the murals of the wall. It's like, and then there's there's drawings of her and him together, and all the rest of the family dead. There's all that shit on the wall.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
That was a really cool idea, though.
yeah,
It was there the whole time, just hidden.
yeah. There's a couple of those two characters are really horny for each other at certain points in this movie. They have a that keeps getting interrupted by Esther, the kitchen one especially.
The kitchen one, oh my gosh, how horrible is it? I hate that so much.
Listen, I went
the whole time.
I don't want to talk about
that
it.
This is gonna happen. Like, she's like, no, we better not do that here, and she's like trying to go to the bedroom, which is the smart thing to do in this scenario, and like they just look over and she's just standing there like, no. I'm like, but in this scenario, in this movie, it's like that was like worst case scenario right there.
Oh, dude. Well, she wanted them to see. She wanted them to see her. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a Norman Bates situation where she was peeking through a peephole. You know what I mean? She just wanted them to know that she was there. Yeah. But to be fair, I don't blame John.
No, I don't either.
So, yeah, the actual ending, we know that Esther is gone. She actually dies. She does not pop out of the hole, and we get ourselves a happy ending. Danny is happy-ish. I mean, John's dead, but Danny is alive and Max is alive. So, she can deal with this terrible trauma of having to kill this 33-year-old child.
Right, yeah.
Sounds like an oxymoron, but
Yep. So guys, what do you guys think of Orphan? Who wants to go first?
I go first.
Crickets.
We actually had crickets.
Yes.
So,
all right, go ahead.
This movie was really well cast. Pretty much every character in this movie was well cast. Even the nun.
Oh yeah, CCH Pounder. Yeah.
Yeah, she did really great in this movie. It's always impressive when you see a young actress or actor like take on such mature material, and the way that they deliver it, and it just blows you away. Like that when she flips on a dime, and the one scene that comes to mind is when she kills the bird. Like she has stone cold eyes.
Yeah.
And no expression whatsoever, like you need to put out of its misery. She just grabs that brick and smashes that bird. And it makes the kid cry. Like he's traumatized.
Because he's completely remorseful for even shooting the bird. He didn't think it would hurt it that bad.
Hurt it, yeah. And so it's well cast. The story was delivered very well. There were some really great shots in this movie. The things with the lights that I had mentioned were really like some of them were really creative and kind of traumatizing. But I enjoyed this movie, and I will watch the sequel or the prequel, I guess.
Yeah,
to this,
I want to see it. Yeah,
how they de-aged her or how they, pulled that off. But I'm gonna give this movie an 8. This movie was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Lydia.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Just because I don't know. Yeah, it's so good. It really is. I'm just like kind of looking over some of the stuff, and like honestly, I don't like the cover of like that they chose for this movie. I think it's like it's not a movie. Like if I was judging based on covers, I probably wouldn't watch this movie. So that kind of like, I'm like, why did they choose that? But I guess maybe that's just me. I'm kind of picky with stuff like that. But yeah, I think an 8.5. It's so good though. I don't know. Maybe it's a 9. I would say it's just nearly a 10, right? Like I don't know. It's so good.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't give it a 10. I
don't remember like a score or anything like noticeable like that.
Yeah, that puts it over the edge. Yeah,
I did forget a couple beats after not watching it for a couple years, so that were kind of like big things.
Yeah,
but yeah, so something it's not quite a 9 for me. I'm gonna say 8.5.
I'm gonna sit right there with you guys and give it an 8. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's like you guys touched upon. It's very well directed, very well shot. It was directed, by the way, by Jean Colette Serra. He has done tons of stuff. Actually, he's done mostly Liam Neeson movies. Like Unknown, Nonstop, Run All Night, and The Commuter. But so he's a good action director too. But this is a really good directing in this movie. The cinematography is beautiful, like you said, Derrick. It is shot by Jeff Cutter. And I think it's just all around very well acted. I think the acting is the strongest point of the movie, in my opinion. I think that strongest part of the film is the performances across the board.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're all very strong. There's not a weak character or a weak actor. All of our main characters are very well fleshed out. And then, of course, Isabel Fuhrman just steals the show as Esther. Just you can't take your eyes off of her because she's just so magnetic and creepy and everything you want. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 as well. I think it's very, very, very solid. More than solid. I think it's very, very good. It's not quite great, but very, very good. One of the better thrillers from that era for sure, from the early 2000s, 2010 era.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good, really good one. All right. Now it's time for our favorite part of the program. It's time to Atkinize this movie.
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Who would the great Tom Atkins play in Orphan? Besides Esther, of course.
Right.
It was a hard one.
I guess. I mean, I guess I would probably say the dad.
John would be only. Yeah. It'd have to be John.
I don't know. He could probably play that one guy that was trying to hop in the car.
Yeah, but that's just a cameo. Even
I'm
the smallest
kidding.
cameo.
I'm kidding. The issue is that I really thought they all did a great job for the parts that they played. I'd hate to replace him, but he's kind of the only male, like adult male presence in this movie.
Yeah, and
So
of course, we could
He
totally
could have been
see
the doctor at the mental institution.
Listen, it has to be him, because then we could totally understand why Esther would be all about him.
I mean,
Right,
that's
yeah,
true.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
But there ain't no way he's going down
Well,
the
no.
way that happened.
No. He's not going to get stabbed by a little girl.
Yeah.
We'd have to change the script, maybe make him survive. But other than that, yeah. Make him instead, like, she stabs him 400 times, and he's like, just a flesh wound, not a big deal. Smoke some cigarettes.
That's why God created Band-Aids, babe. That's why God created Band-Aids.
So, Derrick, it is your turn to pick this week. What are we watching?
Is it Derrick's turn already? Are you sure?
It is Derrick's turn already, yes.
I feel like we just had a Derrick movie.
We did. We had Rawhead Rex, and then I did
Texas
Chainsaw last week. You just did this. Yeah. So it's back to D-Dog, Lee Master.
Man, this is such a tough one. I have no idea what I'm going to pick.
Oh, I know exactly what it is.
Man,
God dang it.
What is it?
You know what I think that we need?
What?
Yeah, we need the movie that kind of started us down this current trajectory. We're going to go with Critters 2. The main
Derrick, you promised you would never do this to us.
I never said those words.
I feel like I remember that.
We were take a break from Critters. It's been like less than a month.
We did take a break. The last one was like months ago. Yeah, definitely months ago. Can't be years ago. We've only been doing this a little over a year.
It definitely wasn't years ago, but it was. I mean, I guess that's what we're doing, but just
I'm gonna guess at least a month and a half, 2 months.
All right. Well, we can't complain about it, or he'll try to punish us again with something.
Yeah, I got another 8.
Let's just watch Critters 2 and just be thankful it's not
July 4th. July 4th. So just over, almost a month and a half is when that episode aired. But it did get a whopping. Let's see. Critters 2 got a whopping 25 views, so I can totally see why you're ready to go back to that well.
It's all uphill from here.
Yeah, you're right. It is definitely an uphill climb.
We got this. I've had such great episodes, like the great Lumberjack Man, and some other ones. So I'm allowed to have a bad one every now and then.
It's some other ones.
Maybe Critters 2 will be a hit.
Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, this is the one I really wanted to watch.
Where can you find Critters 2? Did you do any research on this, Derrick?
I did not, because I've got a copy of it.
He owns it.
You can find Critters 2 if you don't own it like Derrick. You can find Critters 2 on YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, Google Play Video, Vudu. You have to pay for it, unfortunately. So, I mean, at least we didn't make you pay for Rawhead Rex. So Critters 2, I guess that's what we're doing next week, and I knew that's what we were going to do. I was trying to make you do a way cooler. I'm going to pick a really good one. I'm going to do one next week that is just really good and that everybody loves.
You know what?
Maybe.
My next pick, I promise you, I will make it a good one. But this next one's going to be even better. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be a downgrade. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you like Critters 2 more than Critters 1 without having seen them both? So we'll see.
I personally do. I like Critters 2 better.
I don't believe I do. So we'll find out. We'll find out next week. Is there anything else to touch on? Be sure to comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. So the channel will grow. Give us your comments on what new movies you want us to do. If you want us to do Critters 3, the second course and a half. I don't know what the hell it's called.
It's called Dessert.
If you want us
That's
to
not
do...
what it's called, but...
If you want us to do Critters 2, or Critters 3, if you want us to do Lumberjack Man 6000, if you want us to do Leprechaun 2, I don't know. But probably some good ones, like some Mario Bava or, some kind of Dario Argento movie. Just, the classics, please. Be sure to visit us on HiLa Productions, where you can buy all of your HiLa Productions merch, like this shirt I am wearing currently. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow Derrick at DDoglyMaster. You can follow Lydia. Her new name is Lydia Spooky Sprouts, but her handle is Lydia is Spooky. And you can follow me at Racket. Derrick, is there another story you wanted to tell today, or are we good to go?
Man, I could tell a real doozy, but I don't know if my uncle is ready to hear about it.
We'll save it for next week. If you want to hear this doozy, comment down. Do you want to do it?
It's the car story.
Tell it.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if it'll get anybody in trouble. You know what? There's no chance that anybody's really going to watch this from my family. So I'll go ahead and tell the story. Okay, so this is from the perspective of my brother. So my brother my brother drives my mom's teal car to my uncle's house, right? And so he knocks on the door and they'll answer, and he's like, "Hey, I bet that," because my uncle had this sizable plot of land, and they used to do stuff in the kind of the backwoods. So he's like, "I'm gonna drive my mom's car through my uncle's yard to the back because I don't want to walk. It rained." That's hint number one. So he starts to drive through my uncle's yard and he gets the car stuck. And he spends hours trying to get this car out and he can't do it. So he was like, "Hey, I'll go back to my uncle's house. There's a truck my uncle's working on for his buddy. I'll get it and I'll pull my mom's car out." So he goes back to the house. He gets that truck. He pulls it in there. He gets it stuck too. And so then he's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go get my uncle's car and I'm gonna go get help." So he goes and gets my uncle's car. He starts to drive it back home. My uncle's car gets a mile down the road and it breaks down.
Oh my gosh.
And my brother's like, "I got out of the car and I'm like, what am I gonna do? And I don't want my uncle to find out I did this." So he does what any sane person would do, and he chucks my uncle's keys into the cornfield. Because that's what you're supposed to do. He walks back to my uncle's house. He spends the next several hours getting my mom's car out of this mud that he got it stuck in, right? And he drives it and he calls me on his way home and he was like, "Derrick, I need your help so bad." He was like, "Can you meet me at this gas station?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll meet you at the gas station." I was on my way to work. And I pull up, man, and this car, which was teal, is shit brown. Every inch of it is covered in mud, inside and out.
Gosh.
And I don't have any words. I hand my brother, I used to work as a pizza delivery guy, so I had a ton of change. I handed my brother this sack of change and I was like, "That's all I can do, man. That's all I can help you with." So he tries to get it clean and he takes it home to my mom, and it's still a wreck. And my mom sits in this car and she cries because it's so disgusting. My mom has had really bad luck with vehicles and her kids, and I ramped one over a set of railroad tracks once, so I cannot really say that I had nothing to do with that. But anyway, so then I got this story from my brother, right? And he tells me this, and then my uncle, he tells me that he's like, "Man, you won't believe what happened to me the other day." And I was like, "Oh, what?" He was like, I was driving home. My girlfriend was taking me home. And he's like, I passed this car. It was broke down in the middle of the road, and I told her to stop. He's like, I think that's my car. So he's like, I go back and there's my car in the middle of the road, like a mile from my house. I can't find the keys anywhere. And he's like, then she takes me back to my house, man, and my entire yard is like chewed up and my buddy's truck is stuck in it.
No.
He's like, and I have no idea what happened.
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
my brother had already told me this story, and I don't want to get in the middle of this, and I'm like, that sounds pretty crazy. I don't know what happened.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, man.
What a crazy concept.
I know, man. I told my brother, I was like, dude, if I ever make movies, I'm going to put this in a movie sometime.
Now it's on the internet. Don't steal the own rights to it.
It's so ridiculous, man. And it's a true story. It is a true story.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
So if your uncle finds out, he's going to be like, what? Wait, what?
There's a high probability he won't even remember.
That's something that you don't forget.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he will remember, but but in the moment, I just remember thinking, man, how ridiculous is this story from both perspectives? Like who shows up at their house with their car that broke down a mile away from it, and your entire yard is like destroyed where somebody like drove around in it? Like how does that happen? Like that never happens to anybody except for Mike.
Like that you got to hear both sides of it. Like
I know, man. It was
as a spectator.
Yeah,
it was
amazing.
Really hard not to be like, yeah, that's some crazy stuff that my brother did. Don't you think?
I wouldn't have been able to. I would have just been laughing. I couldn't have even got through it. I'd been like, what?
Especially with the keys, like the way my brother was just like, yeah, man, I just didn't know what to do with them, and I didn't want to have them on me, so I just threw them in the cornfield. I'm like, why would you do that?
Why wouldn't you just leave them in the car?
Yeah, like under the seat. Like then you could be like, oh yeah, you still have to
like
explain
they
how
would
the car
fingerprint
got
them
there,
or something.
Yeah, but no, he was just like, yeah, I chucked them out in the middle of the
steering
cornfield.
wheel.
Yeah,
like
or the handle.
stupid person. What are you talking about?
Too brilliant.
That's awesome.
All right, that was my story for
Fairy
the
Dragon
week.
story for the week. So be sure to like, share, subscribe, and visit us on our social media. We will have news probably next week for the Halloween short, and then we'll have some news in a couple weeks on the feature. So stay tuned for that as well. If there's nothing else, for Derrick Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I am Jamie Hiles. And remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.